The next bestseller could very well be in this room, and as an agent toiling for many, many years in the literary salt mines at the Sarah Jane Fryman Literary Agency here in New York City, I am always thinking that these are messages in bottles, pitches. Anywhere I go, anything I hear, and not just at an event, but I have indeed found clients on the ladies' room line where you're not supposed to pitch the agent. No, you don't want to do that, and you certainly don't want to slip anything under the door. But I happen to be on a snaking line, you know how the ladies' line is always very long, and I met a woman who was an activist for international adoption, herself an adoptive parent, and an attorney specializing in international adoption. So as the line snaked, I found myself filled with that dowser feeling that I get when a pitch is successful, even though she wasn't pitching me, Dawn Davenport, who I later sold to Random House. What is my point? Your pitch is a message in a bottle, and you want it honed, ready to go. It's a theater piece. It's the best of the best of the best of you. It is something that will open the doors because nothing else does. And pitchcraft, as I call it, pitchcraft being the writing that you do about your writing, or the speaking that you do about your writing. And this is every bit as important as the writing itself, which is often news to writers who want to say, read my writing. Well, of course you do. But whether this is going to be something that is a personal story, a memoir, or if you're a lady, a femoir, or today we call the ones by boys the himoir, whatever it might be, something from your family addict, fiction, faction, the fictional novel we never say, but you all know that here in this room. Whatever you might be publishing into, as we would say in book publishing, whatever category, whatever genre, whatever your voice, whatever your story, you still must begin life with a pitch. It is unarguably the most important step, so to say, because, so to speak, because it is the thing that opens the door. So your pitchcraft is going to be your message in a bottle, because you're writing life, no matter what you're writing, or publishing into, or dreaming about, or creating, whether it is a giant sci-fi landscape that would work in a sequel and a trequel and a lunchbox and everything else. I'm still working on those Nicholas Sparks action figures in my head, or that. Whatever the rights, R-I-G-H-T-S, of the rights, W-R-I-T-E-S, when it comes to this world of agents and editors in book publishing, which still exists, unlike the goals of our frenemies at Amazon, now getting involved in drone delivery for groceries, if you can picture this, that's their next goal. We are still always looking for new voices, new stories. And the only way we find these is through the pitch, through the pitchcraft. So wherever you are, an airplane, a dinner party, sometimes even the ladies' room line, your pitch is going to do some speaking for you. And publishing is a landscape of yes, thumbs up, and no, thumbs down. So whatever you're working on, whatever you're dreaming about, whatever you're concocting or creating or conjuring or imagining, your writing life is divided into an arc, and that is you get ready, you get read, and you get readers. You get ready, you get read, and you get readers. And at each and every stage, your pitchcraft has a job to do. And that's an important thing to understand about your pitch. It has a job to do. It's not instead of your writing or your talent or the years that you've put into it or the training or anything else that you're bringing to the table. It has the job to do to get you the yes, thumbs up. Because once it's thumbs down, there's a game over quality. So thumbs up can mean getting a card, getting a yes, getting a read, getting somebody to say, huh, that sounds interesting. And that's where it all begins. Even the most lofty, literary, lyrical novel of majesty and truth has to be pitched to somebody sometime. And everything, I believe, lately is pitchcraft. Everything you're wearing, the shampoo you use, whoever you're going home to tonight, some pitchcraft was involved. But in terms of how you want to understand this process, there are a couple of tools I find very, very effective to quickly share. And I did a book on pitching after I went to a writers' conference and I watched grown men who may have been Navy SEALs just quaking at the sight of me and the other literary agents who'd come out for the various pitch events, which, as you probably know, writers' conferences and events are springing up everywhere, where people come for perhaps a speed date of a few minutes to pitch agents. And out of these kinds of events, we're seeing more and more books and bestsellers, because they're wonderful Costco-like experiences for literary agents. We're shopping too, so it's a great way to meet and greet and learn about many, many projects. We still work through what is, of course, called the slush pile, which is the leaning tower of queries inside an agent's now cyber office, but sometimes snail mail still. But every agent that I interviewed for my book, which is a collection of wisdom from other agents, every single one shared some wonderful discovery story in person or in the slush pile was a voice. So it all begins with voice, but I give you some quick formulas that I have found very effective, especially putting together a book on this after watching people weeping at the sight of me. And in doing this book, which was a real labor of love, I learned a lot about the craft of making a pitch and a lot more about what agents get up to in their offices and in their thinking. We're different. There might be 1,200 of us, different practices, different interests. But what we all have in common is there's got to be a moment when there's a spark or an element that catches our eye somewhere, somehow. So that's a general point also before I give you some quick formulas. You're only looking to communicate elements, only looking to spark. You can't get in the scope of a work. You can't really get in the theme of the work. You can only get in, first for fiction, this formula, 3 elements. And I've amended my formula here from the great Donald Moss. If you haven't read Donald Moss's Writing the Breakout Novel and Putting the Fire Fiction in the Career Novelist, these are marvelous resources, not represented by me. He's a leading agent and a speaker on publishing. He speaks of his formula being setting, protagonist, problem. He wants those 3 elements. I've amended this to my version, which is place, person, pivot. So place or setting, quick establishing shot. Where am I? Am I on the planet Mongo? Am I in Brooklyn, hipster territory? Where am I? Second, protagonist or person. You need a thumbnail sketch. You need a camera on something or someone fast. Third, pivot. That might be the inciting incident or the crisis or the event, but I'm defining pivot here as moment of dynamic storytelling. So the minute I show up, and it's the royal me, meaning all readers all the time, I show up and something happens in front of me. It's not that humdrum day or the nadir or something. Something occurs, not necessarily a bear attack, but the moment I show up, I'm seeing something more interesting than something else that I might be looking at, something compelling. And I can only digest sparks or elements. But you want to hit those 3 right on the nose, simply because we need, with pitchcraft, something called the takeaway. The takeaway has to be the thing that I'm going to tell you I took away tomorrow. And that is, where am I, who do I meet, and what are they dealing with? And then there's the why do I care aspect of that. I can address the nonfiction aspects a little differently, but to some extent, fenois or memoir would work this exact way, because we still have to understand a bit of the world we're going into, who we're meeting, and so on. And I have some other quick bits of homework I find very effective. 1, cover your eyes. Everybody, come on, cover. The person who is listening to you or reading you, no cheating, I just admitted, is in this state. They don't know anything. Okay, you can come back. They need you to animate and illustrate something for them, which is why you can't start out with mine is a theme of redemption or something like that, because that doesn't do anything. You have to make them see something. Some quickie tips. If you consider the person you most love gossiping with, maybe the nasty stuff at work if you have a regular gig, or your significant other, who do you most love telling a story to? And watch how you tell that person a story. You will be practicing pitchcraft perfectly, because you're going to be very animated, very dynamic. You're going to understand where to put the conflict, where to put the tension. You're going to create an event. And a pitch is an event. It's giving somebody the opportunity to understand why you are special, interesting, fresh, observant, many, many words can be used here. You want to be thinking like that. What am I? Are you cute and quirky, or are you chilling and thrilling? What are the words that describe you? How can you create a kind of cohesive argument? I sometimes like to say that a pitch is like a summary or a closing argument in front of the hanging judge, because the judge wants to hang you inside a literary agency or a publishing house. There's a lot of no thumbs down, for many, many reasons having nothing to do with your ability or your interests or how much you've brought to this table. You want to be always looking for that yes, and you can get that yes if you get enough of those core, clear messages so that the takeaway is, this is very, very interesting. So as you monitor how you tell a story, maybe something great happened to you, you met and talked to your favorite celebrity, or some great thing happened, or something very bad happened to an enemy, something that would make you be animated in the telling of the story. You'll note how you frame it, because what people do wrong, quote unquote, or what I call the queerial killers, the series of mistakes that writers make when they set out to woo and win literary agents, they are usually very predictable. There's a lot of wandering around, a lot of it's coming, a lot of presumption that chapter 7 is going to really rock. There's no time for any of this. You've got to be captivating and engaging pretty quickly. There are predictable questions in the minds of agents, and I should address just a bit about how we work. We're looking all the time for new voices, new projects, new books. That's our lifeblood. But you can even anticipate the questions. When you start to think, if I was doing the job of agent, what would I say about me? If I had to call up editor X, Joanne or Jane or Mitch, what would I say about me? And I'd even push you further to say, why would you buy your book? Why would you buy it? Not just read an article or online or in the library. Why do you want to own this? Would you give it as a gift? Is there a certain kind of ideal intended reader for you? A certain age or experience? Obviously you want people 18 to 80, but that's not really who's buying your book. So you start gathering all of this information, and then you weave a pitch. You craft it, meaning you're understanding that you're making an argument. You are Atticus Finch arguing for the life of an innocent, but you're hitting these markers. You're giving the flavor and the taste of what sort of qualities you're going to have. But it's exciting to know we're always looking, and pitchcraft is how we find you.